Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports is Ordered. Over there, you got the one and only Mr. Logical.
You're
And I just happen to be your boy 25. Cuz, you could tell by the way I walk, I ain't from around here. But you probably couldn't tell because I ain't walking nowhere. Yo, the NBA Finals Game 5 is on. We're at the half. Miami up 51-44. Bam Adebayo, 18-9. Jokic 9-8-4. Jamal Murray 2 for 7. Michael Porter has shown himself 4 for 9, 9 points, 8 rebounds. I can keep going. I don't even know why I got all this energy, y'all. And then we're going to talk about Saquon Barkley. Why the Giants playing with this man? That man said he ain't coming to work. And I can't say that I blame him. And we're going to talk about some athletes that just threw it all away. And whatever happens in between happens. You know how we do, baby. Sports Reports is ordered. Mr. Logical, 25.
yeah.
What's the word, Mr. Logical?
Yo, like I said, it's that time of the year where you have a couple of championships going on with NHL tomorrow. They're going to their game 5. Vegas up 3-1. Then we have the championship going on now. So like I said, we got to find topics. And
Yeah.
we were just having a discussion about just decision making. Obviously, everyone's waiting on the Ja Morant decision from Adam Silver.
No, Ja Morant is waiting on the Ja Morant decision. That man is like tick-tock, tick-tock.
We waiting. Everybody waiting. Every
sitting up
NBA
here,
player with a gun is waiting.
Look, we sitting up here
Bates
like
waiting.
We sitting up here like, come on, Denver, like close this out so we can get to it. Ja Morant sitting there like, hit another shot, Jimmy.
He out there paying Michael Porter to miss some jumpers. Like, listen, man.
Yo, Ja Morant is literally sitting around with a Kyle Lowry jersey on right now.
Yo, out there, you got Michael Porter out there point shaving.
Point guard unity up in here. You know what I mean? Like riding for the cause. You know what I'm saying? But yes, game 5 is here. So Denver is up 3-1. How did we get here, Mr. Logical? How did we get here?
Well, we got here from valiant effort in Miami in game 2, or I think it ought to be over. Obviously, mathematically, it ought to be over. I don't know. Like, I've found this series to be very entertaining. Aside from this, I won't say lack of marquee names, but not the overwhelming amount of marquee names. If you look at the championship last year, you had Steph, Clay, Draymond, Steve Kerr, like to the point where you don't even say their whole name. You just say Steph, Clay, Draymond. Then you had Boston with Tatum in his hairline.
First player to half, Jokic and one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's so much. It's so many names. And then, of course, you had Chris Paul, Devin Booker in Phoenix year before with Giannis. It just was all these names. And, the conversation I saw some Stephen A. Smith said about Jimmy Butler's a star, but not a superstar. And then I think there's still an argument about Jokic being a superstar, even though he's won back-to-back MVPs, and probably would have won a third one without the immediate, like that wave of pre-media backlash, like pre-voting backlash.
Yeah.
It was like pseudo sabotage. I think if it would have happened to any other player, I think if it would happen to Giannis, people would have been like outraged, like the way it happened. Like they basically allowed one game between Embiid and Jokic in Philly to be like, oh, see, this is proof. This is all the proof we need to not vote for him. But other than that, man, like I think the series has worked. I think the coaches made great adjustments. Unlike the Boston series, we were screaming at the TVs and the iPads, like, what are you doing? I think the adjustments have been great. I think the intensity is great. I like the role players from Denver that have stepped up. Aaron Gordon had over 20 points in game 4.
Yeah, 27.
Christian Brown had, he went 7 for 8 or 8 for 9 in game 3 on the road. So like, I think it's tough tonight. Miami is playing tough defense. You know, I think Denver's up to 9 or 10 turnovers, and they're doing terrible from the 3-point line at 1 for 15. So it's just like I don't know. I think it's just quality basketball, and it's a treat. And I don't know if people are treating it that way because of the names, the lack of the marquee names.
There we go. Porter, nope, no one to pull up. So we got 55-47. I'm at 950 in the third quarter. So yeah, I was looking at some stuff from here, and
12 turnovers.
there's some things that stood out to me. Denver's 1 for 17 from three right now. It stood out to me, like Jokic, for example, shooting 44% from three in this series. That's just wild within itself. Aaron Gordon for the series, you mentioned him. He scored 27 points the other night on 11 of 15, including 3 of 4 from downtown. For the series coming in tonight, Aaron Gordon was shooting 67%. Like he's just too big. Michael Porter, 29% overall coming into tonight, 14% from three. Miami, so this is the one that got me going off of what you said about game two. So for the series, Miami is shooting 37%. Awesome stuff.
From three.
From three.
Okay.
If you take away game two, where they went 17 for 35, it drops to 32%. So that's part of your series in a nutshell right there, because Miami was on this kind of, I don't necessarily want to call it an all-time run, but they were hitting a lot of threes. In the regular season, they were a 34% shooting three-point team. And they had series in these playoffs shooting 45%. So step up your D, Milwaukee.
What I just thought of, I just saw a play just now as you were talking. I mean, I was paying attention, but I'm watching here. Gabe Vincent, he made a little move on Michael Porter Jr. in the paint and flipped it up and missed it.
Yeah.
What Miami has, did they not count the points?
No, they didn't count it, but he just got it anyway.
They have crafty guys that they're streaky.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Jokic is kind of like that scorer. Jamal Murray's a scorer, and I think that's the thing with Miami. That's why they shot 34% in the regular season. They probably were trying to work all these kinks out. But these guys just aren't like scorers. They just get to the spots they need to be. They get a lot of dunks, a lot of layups. Kevin Love is probably like your best pure scorer, like a guy who's out there who just his shots goes up and it looks like it's going to go in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I would
when
love
he
to
shoots
see
that
this
floater,
series.
it just looks like it's flat.
I would love to see this series if we had prime Kevin Love. That would be interesting because, he was the rebounder that I guess Jokic is now, so that would have been an interesting matchup.
He was like a 26 and 15 guy in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wasn't making the playoffs, but he was like
Right.
26 and 15.
So Denver in this series, plus 7.8 on the boards. Miami has 5 less turnovers coming into tonight in the series. Both teams, 4 double-digit scorers for the series. And then Denver is plus 6 in steals and plus 4 in blocks. So all in all, Denver's the better team. Miami just has the heart. They have the coach. And, oh, by the way, Joe Mazzulla, I hope you're paying attention and learning that it is okay to use your timeouts. You don't have to take them with you. But yeah, so Jamal Murray, first 4 games of this series. First person in finals history with 10 assists in their first 4 straight games. The only other person to do that, period, was Magic Johnson. It just didn't happen in his first 4 final games, but he did this over the course of 4 games throughout his finals career.
Jamal Murray's better than Magic Johnson.
There you go. Hot take central.
I'm kidding.
Bruce Brown, had 11 of his 21 in the fourth quarter in game 4. So, like you said, the bench has been stepping up. Whereas with Miami, honestly, I think it's just Jimmy Butler. Like, even the games where he plays well, or at least scores well, like he had 25, 7, and 7 in game 4. But I still wouldn't say that he played well. I still wouldn't say that he had impact on the game one way or the other. And tonight I feel like they're winning, so I don't want to criticize them too badly. But, for this to be a closeout game, your season on the line, he's a little too passive right now for me. Like, he went 2 for 8 in the first half.
And I think I think what happens is I think he expends so much energy. Like right now, he's guarding Jokic
Right.
and got a foul.
Yeah, he's 2 for 9 right now.
I think he says, I think like just by default, it was something that Phil would say to Kobe and originally said to Jordan. It was like, listen, the first 3 quarters, do these things. Fourth quarter's all yours.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Jimmy kind of has that because we saw what happened in the finals in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these guys are all missing free throws. He was exhausted after those 40-point triple doubles.
Mm-hmm. Hey, even with that being said, Denver 6 of 13 from the line right now. It is a 3-point game, and Denver is coming down the court on the fast break. Michael Porter to the corner. Jamal Murray. We got a tied game, folks. 60 to 60. 6:43 left or 6:44 left. And guess what? Eric Spoelstra just called a timeout. You know what I'm saying? How about it? Like these things happen. It
Well,
works.
that's a bad shot, but like I said, I'm behind you a little bit and tie game. I
So
just
so
got it. Like I said, I'm
so
about 15 seconds behind. So
So also Bam, we talked about it a little bit just before we went on. Bam, if you're just looking at numbers, you see him scoring 25 points and all this stuff, and you're thinking to yourself, like, wow, he's scoring 25 points. Why is Denver so dominant? Well, it's because in game 1, he took 25 shots to get 26 points. In game 3, he took 22 shots to get 21 points. And then game 4, he took 19 shots to get 20 points. So yes, he's scoring, he's getting points, but it's the amount of shots that he's taking to do it because he's supposed to be the center, if you will. But
yeah,
he's 6'9", listed 6'9". I don't think he really 6'9", but he's listed at 6'9". But he's giving up all the height and weight to Jokic and Gordon. So, like he's working for those points.
I don't know why Miami didn't go back to the game 2 strategy of singling up Jokic and letting him just go to work. Just throw Zeller out there as fodder and let Jokic cook and go for 38 and
Yeah.
just stay glued to Murray. Michael
Yeah.
Porter Jr. has shown that he can't hit the ocean falling off the boat. KCP's been streaky. And I get it. Like you can't plan for every player. Like I talked about it last week. Is like you can't have a game plan for every guy. Like you have to know tendencies of certain guys. You game plan for other guys. So Christian Brown getting going, only missing one shot and playing tough minutes in the fourth quarter in game 3 is probably was not expected. Then Bruce Brown hitting the reverse layup off of the pass from Jokic
Man,
because Jokic had 5 fouls. Like
that was beautiful.
you're not planning for that. And at first it looked like luck, but then when I saw the replay from the other side, you can tell he like looked up, held it, looked at the backboard, and like it wasn't like something he just threw up there. So it
And
was
then Jokic
deliberate. I mean,
started
like I
off
said,
and Jokic started off tonight in foul trouble.
yeah. So and I think they just get smart, but the Miami players are just so scrappy and they just claw. Like I can see them winning this game, but if Denver on these next 5-6 possessions for each team, if Denver comes out of this and they get a 69, 62, 69, 64, it might be they might start outpacing Miami.
Right. And
Because
by the
Miami's
way,
put a lot of energy to get to this point and it's tied.
And by the way, of course, dating back to the series against Boston, Miami has lost 4 straight games at home. So even if they do win tonight and go back to Miami, that may not be the safe haven that you would like it to be.
Yeah.
So,
And then you got a team that's 1 for 17 from 3. Granted, Miami's only 4 for 15, but you got a team that's 1 for 17 from 3, 6 for 13 from the line.
yeah,
Those are the free throws are easy money. And then 17 threes. I mean, you got to go 8 for
that's
17,
that's Derrick
7 for
Rose.
17.
That's Derrick Rose and
And the game
CDR
and the
against
game
Kansas
is
numbers.
tied. And the game is tied.
Yeah.
And they're on the, you got Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning looks like an accountant. Like every time I see him, I think he's doing taxes.
Like
Broncos,
Sean
let's
Payton at the
ride.
game. Yeah, Sean Payton at the game. It is what it is. Here we go. We're back in action. Miami with possession. Caleb Martin for 3, no good. Jamal Murray with the rebound and on the run. So, we talked about this as well, where when the Lakers were playing against Denver or when Denver was playing against the Lakers would come out, hit some random shots that they had no business hitting all the threes in the first half. But then at some point, it's only so long fake thugs can pretend. You are who you are. And eventually those shots are not going to fall because this is not what you do. And Denver was able, even when the Lakers had leads or was going neck and neck with Denver just had to wait them out because the cold spell was coming. And I think that's what's happening with Miami right now. Like we always remembered throughout the regular season, Miami was a bottom 5 offense for the most part during, so they are who they are. And as I say, and other people try to mimic, you got to come back to your mean, so Miami's going to be coming back to their mean here. Michael Porter still missing wide open in the corner, but it is what it is, I mentioned game before game 4, Miami was down by 15 in every game of the series. They started the fourth quarter of game 4 down 13, cut it down to 5 before Denver ended up pulling away. So that's the tale of the series. Usually Denver jumps out to a lead and maybe the effort gets lackadaisical. Maybe Miami just tightens it up and Miami goes on a run.
What happened
down.
there?
What's that?
The Aaron Gordon dunk foul. Like I said, I'm like 15 seconds behind you, so I just looked up and I saw.
I wasn't even looking. I was looking at my notes, but KCP for 3. Nope. So Miami's 62-60 with 4:25 left in the third quarter. But but Miami, like if this does end tonight, obviously Miami has no reason to hang their heads. Nobody expected them to be here, but Jimmy Butler. I don't even think the rest of the Heat expected them to be here. Just Jimmy Butler. Telling people in the first round, basically like, come see me in the finals and all that kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean? But so no reason to hang your head here, if they do lose.
That's the hook that you got away with.
Caleb Martin with the layup. Eric Spoelstra with the intense eyes looking at the referee.
Oh my goodness. Denver has like 15 turnovers.
I know this is very un-Denver like, but like I said, they're down 4. They're at home. They don't have to worry about holding on to a big lead and letting it slip. So we'll see what happens tonight and if it's any different than the rest of the series.
Is there a foul here?
I think so, but I couldn't tell.
He didn't touch him. He didn't touch him. It was nowhere near him.
You don't got to touch somebody to get a foul call. Ask LeBron. You ain't got to be touched.
Well, you always bring it back to the mean, huh?
You know what I'm saying? You got to, man. You got to. Like, the sports world revolves around certain people.
They revolve around the polarizing figures. You would think this would be more of a polarizing event, but even in our group chat, the conversations are more start, bench, cut, random, players
people
or Trace T-Mac versus Melo. And
like I always say,
NBA Finals going on.
America is a bunch of brand name whores. So for example, back in high school or even middle school, 2 ways to get picked on was have your line all crooked or something, have your haircut all messed up. And then wear some clothes that people can't recognize. Like back in the day, you didn't have guests, you didn't have boss, you were gonna get it. You know what I mean? Like this is what we do. So when you get to the NBA,
you can wear a fake Tommy Hilfiger from the Chinese store in the hood, and people are like, "Yo, that's Tommy Hilfiger." I'm like, I don't think they make those kind of shirts.
Yeah.
I've been to the Tommy Hilfiger store. They don't have those kind of shirts.
Yeah, like where that flag come from? What flag is that?
Like the Dapper Dan sewing kit.
Shout out the cross colors, you know what I'm saying? But
that was so expensive.
I know
how expensive that was.
I know
that was like $100 for a pair of jeans.
And don't even get me started on Iceberg and Avizu when those came.
Iceberg is still $400 for a sweatshirt.
Like it's wild, man. Like, but
I looked at it the other day. Yeah,
but that was the way that you got picked on. people cracking on you for your gear or whatever. So like when we get to this point of like we talked about March Madness, first weekend, people want to see Valparaiso, they want to see FDU, they want to see UCF give Duke all they can handle. Once we get past the Sweet 16, give me my Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, Carolina, so on and so forth, and that's how we are.
People want their regular blue bloods to get through. They want their first round upsets with stuff like, Valparaiso over Texas A&M or something. They'll take that in the first round.
Yeah, beat them, but don't beat Kansas.
They'll take San Diego State losing to North Dakota State or the Jackrabbits or something like that. They'll take that in the first round, but after that, they're like, "Nah, let me go ahead and get this." Kansas,
and that's how the NBA is.
Kentucky,
like, you know what I mean?
Tennessee run.
That's how the NBA is. When Miami beat Milwaukee, it was funny, and then when they beat the Knicks, it was like, okay, like people want the Knicks to win because it's New York, but people knew the Knicks weren't like a great team, so they rocked with it. And then when Miami went up like 3-0 on Boston, they're like, "Yo, can somebody cut this out?" like what is happening here? Like when you had LeBron and you had Lakers and Golden State in the second round.
Did the Knicks ever have a chance against Miami?
No. They won a game that Jimmy Butler got hurt in. He hurt his ankle at the end of game 2, I believe it was. And then the Knicks won game 3. But it was nowhere near like, oh, hey, the Knicks got some momentum now and they're going to make their move. Like, I think people just knew, because I think Julius Randle was a little injured as well, starting that series, so because he hurt his ankle right at the end of the regular season and re-aggravated it.
Yeah, he's just coming off of that.
Yeah, so like I think that was the one series I think people said Miami can win this series. Everything else, it was like, nah, get Miami out of here. So even now, like, Miami beat Milwaukee, beat Boston, who were the top 2 seeds in the East, and Boston beat the 3 seed, Philly, and people are still like, oh, why is Denver get Miami? This is easy. Like, yeah, it's easy if like Miami beat like the Knicks and like the Cavs or something, but they beat Milwaukee and Boston. Like, what more can you ask for?
I mean, they beat 1 and 2.
1 and 2, without home court. So I mean, like
as an 8 seed that lost their playing game to Atlanta, they got beat by Boston. So
but yet they wanted the 7 seed in the West. They wanted that 7 seed in the West to get through, though.
Everyone wanted the 7 seed in the West to get through.
Everybody except for 2-5.
Like I said, I thought that they could make it happen.
Like I don't know. Like I get why people wanted it.
I've never seen teams shoot this poorly from 3 in any basketball game ever.
I get why people. Well, I remember Kentucky. Just because I'm a Kentucky fan, I remember back in 2010, John Wall, Eric Bledsoe, DeMarcus Cousins, Patrick Patterson shot 3 for 34 against West Virginia in the NCAA tournament. And it was just like, hold up. You got John Wall. Listen to me now. John Wall, Eric Bledsoe, DeMarcus Cousins. Why you shooting 34 threes in a tournament game? That's just me though. Like, I don't get paid the big bucks to deduce these type of things, but it is what it is. But Michael Porter Jr., here he comes all the way behind the back. Oh, Dipsy Doo. There you go. Tied game again. 2:23 left, 64-64. But Denver's got to feel great. They're at home, like you said, like shooting 1 for like a million.
I think
from
they're
three.
Like 1 for 19 from 3.
And so like at this point,
is that a double dribble?
I thought it was, but
he started off with double dribble, right?
Yep, I think so. I think so, but
he dribbled it off the steal, palmed it, jumped over whoever was on the ground. That's off Bam.
I have to say a lot more people are cutting Braun than I thought they would. Keeping Kobe and Mike.
Yeah, he double dribbled.
But he
pushed off. Sorry, my bad. He committed like 4 violations in that possession.
Like people would be okay with Miami if they had Dame Lillard, because they were on his list of like teams that he would play for. So if they had Dame Lillard right now, I think people would be a little bit more okay with
Dame and
Miami.
Jimmy.
Yeah, like I think people would be a little more okay.
Because it would make sense why they would win games if they have a guy who's a 30-point scorer.
Mhm. So, like, but yeah, here we are, 149 left in the third quarter. Christian Braun Brown, at the line, 66-65 now
I'll
because he
call him
hit the first free
CB0.
throw. So I was looking at this and I was thinking to myself, like, if Denver wins this game, shooting the way that they are, the free throw line the way that they are, then I don't know. Like, great teams and championship teams just find a way.
I
You
think
know.
Denver's a good defensive team, but what you have is Kyle Lowry's always holding people and then act like he didn't do it. That was a violation.
Yeah,
Uh,
like, there's Michael Porter. There you go. You know.
they, I think Miami went into the fourth quarter in game 4 with just 69 points.
Uh-huh.
So, like, this is par for the course for them.
Yeah, this is new territory for Denver, but this is
Yet,
Denver's first lead, since it was 18-16. You know.
listen, I aspire to have Michael Porter Jr.'s level of confidence because there's no way he can think this ball's going in after the 4 games he's played
Uh-huh.
in this series.
That's why I tell everybody, like, y'all can make fun of him all y'all want. But if y'all had Russell Westbrook's confidence,
Oh yeah,
you know.
Russ was like, I'm pretty sure other guys would do it, but Russ was the first dude that was showing up to the arena dressed like he was on a catwalk.
Yeah.
He was the first dude doing that. He was
I'm
the
still
first
trying to
dude.
figure out where he going to end up next year.
He was
I was
switching up his haircut.
I was I
If
was
if
thinking,
he's not, if LA hasn't decided to get rid of him, I would run it back with that group.
yeah, because I mean it's one last year. I think, like I said, I think that next year is the last year of their contract. It's either next year or the year after for
Does he
Kawhi and
have
Paul
one?
George. Well, I'm talking about Kawhi and Paul
Oh,
George. So you either bring him back or bring in Chris
you blow,
Paul, and you just say,
either you
here.
blow it all up. Did he miss another free throw? Jesus.
Like, you just say, here, like, we're putting all the chips in, like, we're gonna take a risk and
Yeah,
hope
but your
that it
chips
pays
can't
off.
be 40. You can't have 40-year-old chips.
Hey, I know, but it just is what it is.
I
You
think
know,
LA, because they have to sell tickets, they just got to run it back and hope that they can get
Kyle Lowry
these
be
guys to play healthy and stay for a while. Because other than that, short of whatever we find out for Ja suspension, because I think if he isn't suspended for a significant amount of time, then
what
I
do you
think
what do
did
you
he make
consider to
that?
be what do you because yes, what do you consider to be significant?
If it's 25 games or less,
Uh-huh.
I think they can go 25
Yeah, they
games. I
have a
think
pretty good record the last
they
few
could
years
go
without him.
14-11 or 17-8 if he gets 25 games. I can see that with that team
And there you go, to end
per
of
their
three,
history.
71-70 Miami. Can Denver, will we be crowning a new champion? Will Miami stay alive another day? Or is it the final countdown?
This fourth quarter is gonna have Denver's gonna be in the bonus with 8 minutes left in the fourth.
Here we go, conspiracy time.
Not even that though, because I'm pretty sure Michael Malone right now is in that's a travel is in the ear of the referees like, yo, Bam is jumping through Jokic every single rebound attempt. Even that last one at the end of the third. Every play at the rim, a Miami defender is pushing one of the Denver players, making contact. Duncan Robinson pushed KCP on his layup attempt that was rebounded by Bruce Brown to tie the game up.
Yeah.
So Denver's gonna be in the bonus by 8 minutes
Never even put the
because
thing
Miami's
up.
been playing so they've been playing so aggressive that Yeah, it'll tighten up.
We never even put the thing up, you know what I'm saying? Just having fun
Oh,
talking.
that's what happens when you go live. When you go live,
You know what I'm
you know, you
saying?
just
You know,
you do things. We learn the hard way.
but yeah, I saw Fred Van Vliet, you know, is an unrestricted free agent now. He turned down his 22.8 option. So, you know, he's out there. You know, Laker fans are already staking their claim to
Yo,
him.
the Lakers want everybody.
I know,
They
but
want everybody.
I was thinking maybe Phoenix makes that call, you know, to replace
Wouldn't
Chris
they give
Paul.
you? Wouldn't they give you two of? That would give you Devin Booker and like that's like apples and apples. You need. If I was Phoenix, I would be calling Memphis. Like, yeah, what y'all doing with Tyus Jones?
They're not giving up Tyus Jones, especially if depending on what Ja's going to end up missing.
And old boy Brooks, maybe
Dylan Brooks.
I'm not. What's the boy name? I keep forgetting the one that got injured.
Oh,
Brandon
Brandon Clark.
Brandon Clark. I keep messing it. I'm gonna keep messing his name unless I lock it in.
It's because he went to Gonzaga, ain't it?
I know they want to move they want to move on from DeAndre Ayton, which is it's
Well, I don't
weird.
know now. Now that they got Frank Vogel, I'm not so sure. You know, like
Nah.
because Frank Vogel's
The
you
team
know,
is the one that jammed him up. The
he's the
team
big
cost
man.
him 50 million.
No, I
The
know.
Phoenix Suns cost him 50 million and he knows it because they basically let Indiana offer him this offer sheet
Hmm.
for like 130 when Phoenix could have just given him 4 years, 180 right off the rip.
Right, right.
Knowing that other teams can't give him 180, they let another team offer him 130 and they matched it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's shrewd business. I get it. You have to save money, but in the same sense, now you want this guy to now turn around and passionately play basketball for you
Hmm.
when you deliberately cut him out of like my math isn't great, but like 30%.
Mm.
Like you cut him out of $50 million.
Yeah, that brick went
Deliberately.
down.
Like deliberately. It wasn't like he turned down an offer because he didn't like the team. It's like he was ready to go to Indianapolis and be on this side of the Mississippi, and they were like, "Nah, we'll take that deal. We'll take that."
Denver, Denver 3 for 23 from three, 9 of 17 from the free throw line. Jokic starts the fourth quarter off doing MVP things and scoring 72-71 Denver. 30 seconds gone in the fourth quarter. So now this is what you were talking about. You know, this is Jimmy time now. Like, you know, this is fourth quarter's yours. Like, what will you do with it? You know, Duncan Robinson with the floater. No. Denver with the rebound. So, you know,
You got Cody Zeller in the game, so Jokic is
not to go
about to
eat.
solidify this Finals
Well, they keep
MVP.
like doing crazy things. Like I've seen Gabe Vincent end up on Joker a couple of times. Jamal Murray for three, of course. You know, 4 for 24 now. You know, so you know, I think that I'm interested to see what Miami does in the offseason, you know, because obviously they made the finals. If they lose tonight, they made the finals. So is Damian Lillard a real possibility? You know,
What's the Damian Lillard like? What's Dame's? What's the price point? Is it players and picks, or is it can he? I don't know if he can opt out because I think he
I would
just
think it
signed
has
his
to be. I would
extension.
think it has to be picks
Like
because
picks and players.
I don't
So,
think Miami got anything. Like you're not going to trade Bam. You know what I mean? So like I don't think
but
Miami has
the
anything.
NBA the NBA with their framework of their trades, the money has to
The money
match.
has to match. Hmm.
So you got Dame, like I said, these ridiculous NBA contracts, and I'll pull it up on Sports Track here real quick. But we talked about it when we did our episode. I didn't. I will always listen to these things, and because they were talking about Russell Westbrook for the last couple of years. Oh, he's owed 40 million. I'm like, why is he getting over 40 million? Well, they
Because he
they
averaged a
make
triple
write
double.
these they write these contracts to where you sign your second contract, so you get your first big one, called it 21, like Zion and John Morant. They get about 21, 22 years old. 2 or 3 years in the league, maybe 3. I think they play 3 years and they get their extension. Then that extension is 4 years or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Then they opt out after 4 years,
So they're
and
at
then they get the
year
second
7 or
one.
8. Yep. Uh-huh.
Year 7 or 8 puts you at 26 to 28, somewhere in that range. So then you sign that 4 or 5 year max deal for 200 million, but you get 30 million when you're 27, you get 30 million when you're 28, and then the remaining 140 million of this deal you get when you're over 30.
John Wall, Chris
John Wall,
Paul.
it's been Chris Paul. A lot of these guys have just been getting these deals.
Yeah, I think there's one year Dame jumps up to like 60. You
Yeah, because
know,
he Dame Lillard. Let's see, let me get his contract real quick.
and you know, so like he's out there potentially Blazers with the number 3 draft pick, so they could do one or two things. They could trade that number 3 pick. Maybe somebody wants Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller. Word on the street is the Pelicans might want Scoot Henderson. You know, but we'll see what Charlotte does at number 2. You know, Brandon Miller's probably the fit, but Scoot may be the best player available. So, you know, what do you do there? Like, I would imagine you take Brandon Miller not to jam up LaMelo, but if Scoot is at number 3, then maybe a team like New Orleans jumps up there and takes that off your hands. You know, because I don't know if you can trade Dame with the number 3.
Listen to these numbers, dog. So he has it's 23-24. He's going to get him 45.456. Then he has a player option for 24-25. He'll be 34. That'll get him 48.7 million. Then his extension kicks in at 2 years, $121 million. That kicks in
60.5 million.
25, 26, he gets 58 million. 26, 27, he gets 63. It'll be 35 and 36.
Ridiculous.
So I'm not saying if you have a player and that player is allowing you to sell out this many home games, this TV contracts over and so on, and if you do the rubrics, they break down their value that way. My thing is like, if I'm trying to trade you at 33 and I got a team that has to take on this contract, I got to convince them that you at 25 was so important to us, and at 35 you're going to be important to them, so they can take on the 60 million or however they figure out the math to make that trade.
Good
I don't
job,
think
Caleb
Dame goes
Martin.
I don't think Dame goes anywhere. I definitely don't think he goes to Miami. I think Miami's
What can they get though? Like
Westbrook.
they can trade the number 3. Well, they could trade the number 3.
You talking about Portland?
Yeah, I'm talking about Portland. If they keep Dame, they could trade the number 3, but I don't know what that nets you. You know, I mean, they say this is a 3-player draft. I like some players outside of the top 3, but for the most part, they say it's a 3-player draft. So like,
you get Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, like
I've been working them out. I saw that a video
Kyle
clip
Lowry. Big time players make big time shots, I guess. That's an NBA champion.
Thanks to Kawhi.
But
the ligament tears.
I swear I don't know how Jokic scores. Like, I just watch all of his shots and I'm just like, here comes an air ball. Oh, swish. Like, oh, why do you shoot that so high? Oh, what goes up must come down.
Yeah, that one he shot next to AD at the end of the quarter, he was like, AD just kind of looked, because he just got touched. It's soft. You could tell, like, I don't know if European players if they just all play the point guard position at some point and then they just get tall at 12.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, now you're going to play here.
Christian Brown on his way to the free throw line, 79-76 with 8:44 left in the game, in regulation at least. So while we got a second here, we're going to keep talking about the finals, but we're going to switch topics for a second, because Saquon Barkley has said that he may not come to work, and I support him. I'm with him.
I'm not coming to work.
Yeah, he
Just
might
go
come
ahead.
to he might come to work when they start finding him, but
Just go ahead and shred that time card
you
because
know,
employee number
up
26.
and what do you know? Missed free throw. So so I was looking at this and I teased it to you, before we started here. So in games that Saquon Barkley has not played, the Giants are 9-12. That makes sense to me. He's like a big part of their offense, big percentage of their offense. I know he ain't missed both of them, but he's a big part of their offense. Their record with Saquon Barkley, 19-40-1. So you know what? The Giants like, yo, we could do bad by our damn selves.
I didn't realize he played 60 games. Yeah, he missed both free throws.
Well, yeah, he's missed he's played 16 games twice. Both of those years he made the Pro Bowl. He had a couple of 13 game seasons, and then he had the one season where he got hurt the second game of the season. But he's averaging for his career 4.5 yards per carry, 7.4 yards per reception. Last year, he finished third in the comeback player award behind Geno Smith and Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is probably more receiver than running back these days, but Saquon Barkley, Saquon the chef, if you will, he ended up with more rushing yards and more rushing touchdowns than McCaffrey. So, he has his value, that the Giants aren't cashing in on, because Daniel Jones, this is the first season that, like you said, he was top 10 after this season, like for the season, so this was the first time we could say something like that about Daniel Jones. So, that record, even though that's the record with Saquon, it's not necessarily due to bad play by Saquon.
Yeah. I'm still kind of peeping in on the
Oh,
finals.
good block, Struce. Well, I think that was Struce. Yeah, that was Struce. Good block. Bam keep ending up on the floor. Like, get your big ass up.
They're not calling anything.
Yeah, they letting them play. This is Game 7, Cleveland and Golden State right here.
Listen, this is even more than that. This might be a situation, man. See, you killing me. You got.
I'm sorry, I didn't say anything though. I didn't say anything. I just
you said woo.
I know
that means something happened.
Yeah, something happened. I mean, but yeah, like Saquon Barkley, the offense just doesn't work without him.
Oh, I see what you said. Woo about
that block. That was 2K right there.
what I think, like I said, without reiterating my same rant that I've gone on in regards to NFL running backs and how to get paid, it might be a little Icarus like, because I think they're flying a little too close to the sun and they're gonna get their wings burned. Daniel Jones is a serviceable quarterback because a lot of quarterback play last year wasn't great. Tom Brady wasn't great. Aaron Rodgers wasn't great. A lot of those guys who normally, Russell Wilson wasn't great. Guys who had been for the last 10 years, just you could book them for the Pro Bowl as soon as they made it back to the beginning of the season. If they took the snap, you could book them for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, Stafford got hurt. Dak got hurt.
Dak was hurt. So all these guys dropped from their spots at 2, 3, 6, 9, 11. Like a lot of those guys fell. And then a lot of new guys moved up. You got Trevor Lawrence moved up. Daniel Jones moved up. Kirk Cousins moved up. So Daniel Jones, not necessarily by default, because he did have to play well even to move up to that point, because the guys who didn't move out didn't play well. It wasn't like guys just retired and spots were open. Like those guys didn't play well. Injuries. He avoided the injuries. He ran the ball well, 700 yards rushing. It's just that I don't know that he's enough of a threat without Saquon, without 26 behind him. I'm not sure the defense is like worried about Daniel Jones and what he can do. They haven't done a splash move for the receiving core. They probably have continuity, which is great for like the Denver Nuggets or the Miami Heat, and like just in these kind of small, finite kind of positions. But for a football team, continuity is great,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't do you any good if you're getting jammed at the line. You can't beat press coverage, or your quarterback can't beat the cover 3 or cover 2, passing concepts because like I think Shepard got hurt last year.
He
Like I
always
said,
gets hurt.
and then and if you want to go get one of these top wide receivers out of the market, like if you have, like you're not going to go get Delvin Cook because you're already dealing with running back issues, so you can't fix the issue there. You mentioned earlier James Robinson got cut by New England. Like that doesn't fix your problem. That puts a good player back there, good strong NFL player, solid guy, but he doesn't. I don't think he impacts the defensive game plan the way Saquon does.
Right.
And you can look at the wins and say, oh, he's 19, 40, and 1. Probably in those games, Daniel Jones probably has a turnover per each one of those games, if not, something close to it.
So right now behind Saquon Barkley, they have Matt Breida and Eric Gray.
But you need more.
Right,
You
right.
need
But
more than that.
just saying. So like the Giants are not necessarily in a position of leverage right now, like as far as looking at the roster, like you know what I mean? Like if Dalvin Cook, if he didn't get released and he decided to hold out, I think Madison has played enough where Minnesota kind of knows what they have. Maybe they have a little
But
confidence in
but
him.
Minnesota has a prolific passing attack.
That as well.
They have a wide receiver you have to triple team. They have a tight end that can beat linebackers and
Right.
could get matched up on safeties. So
Right.
even that, just those two pieces there, running routes, occupies potentially 4 to 5 guys, at least for a split second.
Mm-hmm.
Without Saquon in the back, you have those, whereas Minnesota can have 4 or 5 defensive players who have to watch Hawkinson or have to watch Jefferson. None of those, like those 2 extra guys, can just watch the backfield and watch Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Jones, and they only have to use a couple of guys on Slayton. And yeah, they got Waller, but I think you just play him straight up. You play
And
him straight up.
we have to see, like they haven't played together yet. You know what I mean? So like Waller is a great talent, but we haven't seen him yet. So
And we haven't seen Daniel Jones throw a lot of tight end passes, like those tight windows in the
and
middle of the field with linebackers underneath, safeties on the top.
and
A
oh
lot
by
of
the
those
way,
team
real
routes.
quick, oh by the way, real quick, in 35 minutes, Mr. Jimmy Butler, 8 points on 2 of 12 shooting. But yeah, we haven't seen Daniel Jones do that. They had Evan Ingram for a few seasons, but he kept getting hurt. You know, so yeah, they're just letting them play. I don't know if that's what you're reacting, but they're just letting them play.
I was reacting to the shot clock violation that didn't get called.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Daniel Jones he has to take a leap this year. Like you told me he was top 10. We had our conversation, and I mentioned how he only went over 200 yards in 6 games this season passing. So like the numbers look good efficiently, but he never, as you would say, he didn't put the backpack on
Yeah.
and say hop in and let's do this. So there's that. I think that he's talented enough. He's a good enough thrower of the ball that I think that he should. I'll put it like that. He should be able to do that.
See, that's the thing. Daniel Jones, his current I don't say talent. His current skill set requires a running back. It's
Right.
like having Dak with, oh my goodness, this is
And then
chaos.
his threat to run the ball himself, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like is
So
enhanced by Saquon as well.
he needs that Saquon, that Zeke Dak combination. He needs what Mac Jones had his rookie year in New England when they were just 6 offensive linemen and 3-headed monster at running back. He needs that in order for his
2 for 13. 2 for 13. But yeah, he hasn't signed his tender. Saquon hasn't signed the tender.
He's not going to sign it.
So we
And
were talking about Lamar, and I think we came up with he could potentially hold out until week 10, if I remember correctly.
I believe it was like we up to week 10 and he could show up week 11. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was and I don't know if that's just, but I think Lamar had a different
Well, he was
path.
he was on the non-exclusive, I believe.
Yeah. Which
You
would have
know,
paid him less money. So it's another simple thing where it's like these NFL, like I get it. These teams want to save money. I get it. But they're operating as if they're barely inside the margins with their team. It's like you're making billions over what you're paying out in salary.
mm-hmm.
So you're the fan always gonna be mad at the player for holding out, but it's like, yo, I been here for I played 60 games. I've been here for 4 or 5 seasons, and all I ask for is like, yo, just give me the check that I
Mm-hmm.
earned.
Yep.
You selling all these jerseys, you're doing all this stuff, you selling these tickets.
Oh,
Just
KCP.
pay
You know,
me, pay me, pay me the years. Give me the years. Give me 3 years. Give me 3 years, 27 million, and you
yeah, because
guarantee
you gonna
22
cut
of it.
me anyway, probably before that 3 years is over.
You'll figure out a way. Just give me just give me my opportunity.
And here's Jimmy Butler doing Jimmy back-to-back threes after I said he was 2 for 12. Here he is with back-to-back threes, 86 to 82. He's 4 for 15 now. Michael Porter in the corner misses the three. 86-82 Denver with 3:30 left. So, like it's just like Tupac said, So what's a hasa, Nas? Dudes that don't rhyme right. What would you do if you was me? You know what I mean? So all these fans, it's just like NIL, like all these fans are complaining about it. They don't want to see the player. They want to cheer for the player. They want the player to deliver for their team, but they don't want the player to be taken care of. And
I think if the conversation was, I think if this was, oh, they finally called a
they,
foul.
yeah, and this is the
Yeah,
foul that they call.
I think are they challenging it?
Yeah, Denver is challenging the foul on the Jimmy Butler 3-point attempt. So 3:21 left,
Yeah,
86-82.
he kicked him. Yeah, that's not a foul.
And we're going to commercial. But yeah, but I wonder, like, so right now, Washington, for all intents and purposes, is probably at the bottom of the NFC East.
Yeah,
So
I can agree with
so
that.
so no Saquon, depending on how long this goes and all of that. Are the Giants still better than Washington?
Yeah, because I think the Giants. First of all, I think their defense was surprisingly very good.
Mm-hmm.
They got very big up front. They rushed the passer well. You got Jalen Smith. They're very good on the back end, and they control the ball by running it a lot, so your defense not exhausted. Remember like the old Buffalo Bills, they were running and gunning to the point where those guys sit back down after the punt. Buffalo, Jim Kelly and Andre Reed, and like they're down the field, boom, 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 touchdown, and the guys are back on the field. Giants, methodical, slow handoff. Daniel Jones in the flat, little slant route, maybe a little 10-yard dig route. Nothing crazy. So I think they'll be able to control the clock. Washington, I don't know what you're gonna get. I mean, anytime you're starting a second year quarterback in a tough division because
A
like
fifth round draft pick.
3 teams made the playoffs at NFC East. We always dog in NFC East because the Cowboys are there and people find Cowboys fans obnoxious. Yeah, he stuck his whole foot out. Aaron Gordon was on the feet were on the ground. Uh,
But yeah, like
so like you have Dallas fans obnoxious, and you have the Giants fans that aren't necessarily obnoxious, but they're kind of living off the 2 Super Bowls they stole from the Patriots. And then Washington, those fans are just dedicated, whatever the case may be. So I think and of course you have Philly fans, which is just, I mean, Philly fans are just different, but they've been successful recently.
yeah,
So in that division, those 3 teams made the playoffs. I don't think the Giants fall off that much. I think
yeah.
Brian Dable has done a good job. I think it'll get better. I just would
And
like,
my guy, don't forget my guy, Mike Kafka.
yeah, I would just would like to have all my horses, all my horses. Just get me everybody. Like, yo, give them a good deal. 3 years, 27 million, guaranteed 22 of it. You're the Giants. I don't know what's
Yeah.
taking so long. He literally stuck his whole foot in front
Well,
of the 3 point
well,
line
I
anyway.
think I think Adam Silver is trying to decide if he wants a game 6 or not. If we just want to get to the jaw suspension.
All right, don't say anything because
Yeah, but so yeah, Saquon. I think if the Giants are smart, and they usually are one of the better franchises in the league,
they
then,
called that a foul.
then I would.
They called
Hey,
that a foul?
what I just
How?
because they won Game 6, man. They trying everything in their power. Not saying that they're cheating. They've been cheating all night or anything like that, but the game is close enough that
That's
we're
like
inside the margins right now.
you saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it 4 times at
And I
least.
saw it. Aaron Gordon's feet were on the ground. So it wasn't like he landed in Jimmy Butler's landing space.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler clearly extended his foot and kicked Aaron Gordon in the nuts.
Yeah. And neither one
And
of
then
them,
fell on the
neither
floor.
neither Gordon or Porter
When they were in his landing
made
spot.
contact. They weren't in his landing spot. Jimmy made all the contact on the play. I love these European dudes, man. They be having the best
Look, they're
reactions.
both they're both standing still and he just falls down.
Like I love, like my favorite is when you call a foul on the European player and they put their hands up to beg, like, what are you? Why?
This. And
Excuse
then they
me.
do this, they get small.
Yeah, like I love that. Like like soccer style up in here. But here we go. Michael Porter Jr. misses. So Miami has a chance to take the lead with 3 minutes left in the game. Yeah, so I think that eventually Saquon's going to come back. Like I don't think he's going to hold out to start the regular season.
I think he's gonna hold out.
I hope he does because somebody needs to. Like we get here where these guys like Deshaun Watson, they talk all this
Quarterbacks
stuff.
are getting $250 million deals, and the dude standing behind him is getting 10. I mean, everyone
Jokic.
talks about how much they love their running backs and how much they love their teammates. I'm like, you're getting $200 million, and the guy who's getting banged on all game long, pass protection for you, is
Catching
getting
passes, running the
catching passes
ball.
for you, checking down, is getting.
Oh, Denver missed the rebound there. Jimmy Butler finally missed a three. And then we got another foul. Jimmy Butler going back to the line. 88-87 Denver with 158 left. Miami on an 8-2 run. So, we'll see. We'll see how the game concludes. Maybe we get a little overtime, before we switch topics
That's not
here.
a foul. Oh
I
my
know. I
gosh.
know. Before we switch topics, I guess we'll stay here and finish up this last minute 58.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler just tied the game in Denver. If they do lose this game, outside of what we've seen the last minute and a half or so, free throw
That
shooting.
was huge. The free throw shooting is huge, but these calls.
Yeah, here
And
you
it's not
go.
like Denver isn't more
Jimmy
aggressive.
with Miami's last 13 points in the quarter. So this is what he does, man. Like I know the fouls are questionable, but this is what he does.
The fouls are non-existent. Like we don't have to sugarcoat it. The fouls are not, like, those are not fouls. But I mean, like I say, this is what he does.
Here we go.
But
142 left. Jokic on the move.
oh,
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 we got a
oh,
jump
oh, oh.
ball. Oh, they called a foul. Never mind. They called a foul. Not a jump ball.
Yo, dog, you're killing me.
Sorry. I'm getting excited. We might be about to crown a champion. It's the final countdown. Like we're getting there. We're gonna see what happens. I'm a chill.
You thought that would have been a jump ball? It should have.
Well, the way this
Yeah.
game is going, Oh, okay. So as this game finishes up,
Yeah,
This is
these live videos we do are always crazy because it looks like I'm not paying attention, but I just had the iPad. I have the iPad set up right here,
yeah, I
just
got
because
my
that way I
TV
don't have to
like
move the
right to
screen.
my right. The TV is right to my right, and you know, uh, it's just one of those things. So like, the Wiz, whenever she's doing editing and all that kind of stuff, she's like, why are you never paying attention? And I'm like, well, I'm looking at the game so we can make comments about the game. Like everybody's not fortunate enough to be watching the game right now. So, like we just put it out there so people could get some commentary with their analysis. It just is what
Yo,
it
this
is.
is intense. Like, you can't give any more updates.
I can't give any updates. I'm sitting here just watching the clock and just
Yo,
like, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like, what I'm saying? Like, we got to find you a new stream site or something. I don't know what's going on.
and the thing is, when I had it on my phone and I went to the iPad, it was like my phone was like 10 seconds slower than
Oh,
that.
I want to say something so bad. You know,
Just say
uh,
it. Just say it. Just keep it
no, no,
live.
no,
Don't
it's all
worry.
good. All right, so 38 and a half seconds left. Denver just missed. They're up 90 to 89. 34 seconds left. Jimmy Butler at the top of the key. The crossover to the basket on Murray. He loses his footing. Throws it to KCP. He had his tragic Johnson moment. You know?
Are you messing with me? Yo, I can't. Yo, that's come on. That ain't happen. That didn't
24.7
happen.
seconds left. And the
Stop
crowd
it.
is going wild in the Mile High City Ball
Yo,
Arena.
he did it.
His tragic Johnson moment. KCP, was about to get his prime time on right there. Like, I don't even know if he was going to dribble. He lucky he passed it because I thought he was just going to take off and just run with the damn ball. So KCP at the free throw line, 24.7 left, 90 to 89, a chance to go up by 3. Hits the first free throw. So, of course, free throws have been an adventure for
Yo, it's
Denver tonight.
crazy.
Free throws have
Like,
been.
I'm not rooting for Denver against Miami. I think it's just super exciting that there's a potential to get another new champion. I
Well, this
know,
is the
like,
first time. Well, plus this is our first year podcasting, so like we're
first
just
year
sitting here.
podcast and having
Yeah,
like this new thing.
KCP
Uh
making both free throws. The former NBA champion trying to add to the collection.
Yo, this dude is about to get his second ring. He's
Yep,
gonna
we
have
got
more than AD.
24.7 seconds left, so Miami can hold for the last shot. They don't have to worry about giving Denver the ball back. There's a 0.7 difference between the shot clock and the game clock. We're on commercial now. I'm looking at Grimace and the Hamburglar, who I haven't seen in like 15 years.
Yeah, I took my son to McDonald's today. They have like the Grimace
Where's my man with the
milkshake.
moon face? Matt tonight. That was my guy. And by the way, people, I went to see Transformers this weekend. I thought it was a pretty good movie, bit anticlimactic for my taste. But it was still a good movie. I'll give it like a, I'm gonna be real specific here. I'll give it like a 7.1 out of 10. You know,
I've been told I haven't seen them, and I will eventually get around to them. Guardians of the Galaxy
yes, I heard
Part
that was
3.
great.
Heard that was
Yes,
great.
yeah, and
And
Dark.
then Across the Spider Verse,
Now that one I can speak
heard
on.
I heard was great.
Across the Spider Verse was about a 12 out of 10. I liked it better than the
That's what
first
I've been
one.
hearing. That's
Yeah,
what I've been hearing.
I liked it better than the first one. I went back and watched the first one on Sunday when we were talking. I went back and watched the first one so I could like catch the things that I didn't put together and all that kind of stuff. They did a great job tying it together, and I can't wait for March for Beyond the Spider Verse.
Yeah, I think, and that's another thing. We were talking about this the other day. The Matrix did that. I think they released Reloaded in March, and then Revolutions was like November of the same year.
Uh-huh. All right, here we go. The inbound pass. Jimmy Butler at the top. He takes a dribble. He almost throws it away again to Duncan Robinson. Did return for 3. Miss. And we got a rebound for the Nuggets. Bruce Brown with the rebound. 14.3 left.
And I like when teams win it at home. It's something about winning it at. Oh,
Well, I like
definitely almost threw it away. Yeah.
Well, I like winning it on the road because I like when Steph said that when he went back to Cleveland, he said the locker room still smelled like champagne or whatever when he went back there the next season. So, I like that, I don't like this whole, like, we're going to lose on the road and go home to clinch the series. I get it, but I don't like it. You don't give away games in the NBA
Oh, you
finals.
don't give away. You win when you win. I'm talking about as far as like what I find entertaining is the families in the audience, the team, the supporting, everyone standing up.
So Denver's free throws we talked about, right? So Jimmy Butler is 5 of 18 from the field. Gabe Vincent is 3 of 13. Bam, 20 points, but 9 of 20. Kyle Lowry hit some big shots, but he's 4 of 12. Bruce Brown made both free throws, 94 to 89, 14.3. Ball Arena is in a frenzy. Looks like the Super Bowl or something. Like they're going crazy.
When Cleveland beat Golden State, the score was 93 to 89.
I know. And see, that was like that. I liked it.
That was a game they let.
It was in
Oracle.
Scrappy. I know, but it was in
scrappy.
Oracle. So I liked it. Cleveland. Like that. I'm telling you, that's my favorite.
I had the absolute toughest time not slapping some of my troops watching that game because I was deployed. To UAE. Sorry, undisclosed location in Southwest Asia. Even though you can go on vacation there. So deployed there, and the jets land throughout the shift. And I talked to my driver. Flight line, you have an expediter. He coordinates all your maintenance, signs you to jets, whatever the case may be. I'm like, yo, put me on the last thing landing, like after 10 o'clock, because we worked until about 11 or noon-ish. I'm like, get me something that lands at 10. I don't care if I got to stay late to wrap it up, but I'm trying to watch the game 7. He was like, all right, I got you. So I'm watching it. And I remember when LeBron got the block on Iguodala, I was in a room with like 6 people. It's a couple of Kobe fans, a couple of Jordan guys.
Lowry misses. KCP's going to run out the clock.
A couple of anti-LeBron guys or whatever. And when he got the block, I was the only one that reacted to the block. But then when he came back down and he missed like a little bunny like hook, everyone was like, see, he's terrible. I was like, yo, he just literally had one of the greatest blocks we've ever seen, and none of y'all reacted. And now you want to overreact to him missing it. Is this crazy?
And ladies and gentlemen, we have a new world champion. The Denver Nuggets, first title in NBA history. Former ABA franchise got suspended for a season. Here we are, the Denver Nuggets, the NBA champions. So,
all right, who's going to steal the basketball?
Who's going to be the person that doesn't vote for Jokic for Finals MVP?
Someone has to do it, but he went 12 for 16 with 28 points and 16 rebounds this game. So
somebody got to vote for Jamal Murray. Like
they're gonna say when Jokic went to the bench with 5 fouls, Jamal Murray took over, and that means he was MVP.
Yeah, remember Steph was the Finals MVP until he had that one game where he went like 4 for 14, and then like KD ended up getting it. So like. He was on.
Or when Skip Drip had Kyrie as the Finals MVP in that series we just were talking about. Hey, look,
all I'm gonna say is this. Okay. He was not the Finals MVP, but they definitely don't win that series if he doesn't. I ain't even talking about the shot, but they don't win that series if he doesn't play the way that he played, because him and LeBron had both with the 41 points.
Yeah, you're trying to be political like Kyrie's listening. Listen,
no.
There's one
that man
person
said the earth is flat. I ain't worried about him.
There's one person that does more than the other guy, and that person is the most valuable player.
Right. Well, you remember we had the discussion about Dirk.
Kyrie, the argument for Kyrie that Skip was trying to make was like he hit the biggest shot. Then I was like, LeBron had the most. He had the most points.
He had the most everything.
Rebounds, blocks, and steals of any player on either team.
Well, that was my argument against Caleb Martin, because people were saying that Caleb Martin should have won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP this year.
4 out of 9 voters had him. I think Stan Van Gundy Stan Van Gundy had me convinced.
Like
That's
he
when I
had
started paying attention to it when he
a
started
pretty
saying it.
good series, but I think people were just overreacting to his game 7 performance. Like Jimmy still,
Game 6. It was like game 5 and 6 when Jimmy was like not making it pop. Caleb
yeah.
Martin was. Even though they lost those games, because like I said, it eventually
So
went to
you think
7.
that he should have been the MVP then?
I think that
Or at least he has an argument.
Jimmy had these lulls
Uh-huh.
from the first to the third quarter in every game, and then he had a push in the fourth, which looks like it's like the tortoise and the hare. Caleb Martin was like just slow and steady every quarter. The first quarter, he gets you 7 to 8 points, and then you have about 12 or 13 at halftime.
Well, he damn sure fell back to earth in this series.
Oh, absolutely. He
did have 10
decided,
points tonight, which was probably his best game of the series on 4 for 9 shooting.
Yeah, they didn't look, but I think
more people cutting Michael Jordan.
I think Denver's defense is better. It was like look at Jokic's big brother. Look at his brother just balling.
Well, yeah,
that's why I like when people win it at home because you got everybody there, the confetti.
Well, see, Jokic, like he gets the bum rap, but Bam, we talked about all the shots that it took Bam to get his points. So coming into tonight, he was shooting 40% with Jokic as the closest defender.
His brother is picking him up. What kind of?
Or I'm sorry, Jimmy Butler.
Who are they eating in Serbia?
Jimmy Butler was shooting 40% with Jokic as the closest defender. Bam was at about 46%. Joker averaged coming into tonight. He averaged a block and a half in this series. So like his defense is better than we probably give him credit for, but it's not as good as the analytics say it is.
No, it just doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
An Anthony Davis block is above the box. He's rotating over. He's long, athletic, 6'11", just fully extended. Jokic is like, boop, and he just sticks his hand up there when you jump up because he's like, I'm 7 feet tall. You got to come up here, so I'm gonna get to here,
right?
And then I'm just gonna get my hand up.
All right,
and if I get a piece of the ball, it's a block. Whereas, like I said, Anthony Davis, Triple J, LeBron when he's going for blocks. Some of these guys, it just looks like explosive. Whereas nothing about what Jokic does looks explosive.
So what's the move here? So Denver gets Tuesday to celebrate. Wednesday morning we get job suspension, or we give Denver like lunchtime and like
post parade. When is the parade? Today's Monday.
Today's Monday. I mean, they're already at home.
They're at home.
Yeah, so maybe Wednesday's the parade.
You should
Thursday.
You should get a parade by Monday. Denver's a great city for a parade. It's gridded out, so it's super easy to plan a route. That's for sure.
So I gotta wait. So I gotta potentially wait another 3 to 4 days to figure out what's going on with Demetrius.
I mean, let's do this. Let's think. Let's go. How quickly is someone going to ask Adam Silver about Ja Morant? Are they going to do it tonight?
Somebody might ask him tonight, and he might say, hey, you know what? This is the Denver Nuggets moment. We will address that at a later date or whatever the case may be. You give Denver tomorrow to celebrate and be the cat's meow. And then on Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern during First Take, you get breaking news, or 10 o'clock Eastern, I guess. It starts at 10 o'clock. So right when First Take goes live, you have the breaking news and you announce the suspension. Or
it's got to be 40. It's got to be 41 games. Or it's 41 games. It has to be. It has to be 41 games.
Or we give Denver all day tomorrow up until about that 5 or 6, whatever time, at 6 Eastern Sports Center. And maybe at that Sports Center, at some point it comes out.
It'll be a morning release because it'll be when these guys are in the New York offices. People getting called in. It's going to be like conference calls, Zoom calls. It'll be lawyers, definitely lawyers. Whatever the number is, lawyers are going to get involved.
Yeah, so there's got to be an appeal. I would think. Jaylen Brown. Obviously he's
the president of the player
Yeah,
the MVP. Yeah,
yeah, and Kyrie's the VP, so Kyrie want to smoke with Silver, and Jalen Brown even stuck up for Kyrie, during the situation where everybody left Kyrie on the island by himself. So
everybody left him on the island.
everybody.
Everybody abandoned him. I bought 2 jerseys. Those are the first straight up.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Sports Reports' order. I'm being told we got to get off the air now.
Listen, I don't care. Listen, I speak.
It was a good run. We had a good run.
One of my favorite movies, Kingdom of Heaven. Favorite character, Liam Neeson. He was dying. He was talking to Orlando Bloom, and one of his he gave him like 3 tips, and one that I remember, he was like, "Speak the truth, even if it leads to your death." I modify that where I just speak my opinion. And
I say you've been had, you've been took, bamboozled, hoodwinked.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so like I said, I bought 2 Kyrie jerseys.
Yeah.
As soon as the news dropped.
Yeah.
Boop.
Yo,
and it helped
today,
that they were like $36 or something like that too.
I saw today that if the James Harden thing doesn't come to fruition, then Houston may inquire about Mr. Irving.
Dallas is keeping Kyrie Irving at 3 years, 135 with a player option for the third.
That's a lot of money.
45.
That's a lot of money, man.
That's 40. But that I think that 45 is lower. That 45.
I mean, that ain't Dame Lillard money, apparently.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because Dame is like, hold on, I'll pull it back up real quick.
Yeah,
right now
you said 35 or age 35.
Like, so right now, Dame Lillard for 23-24, he's getting 45, and next year he's getting 48.
Yeah.
So Kyrie agrees to 3 years, 135. That's just 45 a year. Maybe he gives them a friendly one.
So am I the only person that doesn't think he's worth $45 million? Like, even though like it's still lower than people like Dame, like, am I the only one that thinks he's not worth it?
For like, and that's, but
because don't get me started on Black Brad down in Washington.
But with I don't think guys get paid because your top players only give you 27 points. There's 3 guys getting you like 30. Everybody else is getting you 26 and a half, like between 21 and 26 and a half. All those guys are getting you, they're still getting $40 million. Mm-hmm. You got your Lucas that are getting you 30 points. You got Jokic that's getting you 30 points. Embiid, Dame, I think healthy LeBron was getting you about 30. But for the most part, most guys on max deals of different variations. Tobias Harris is on the max deal. Michael Porter Jr., we just saw how he was shooting the ball. He's on the max deal. Ja Morant's on the max deal. Zion Williamson's on the max deal. He's not even playing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, Zach LaVine's on a max deal.
I heard something today that made me shudder. I was listening to the NBA show on The Athletic, and they had a Washington Wizards beat writer on, and he said something along the lines of like, Brad Beal and bring back Tobias Harris. I turned off that radio so fast because I'm not even a Beal dude, but I turned that radio off.
I don't know why you're anti-Beal. Like, you're anti-Beal as if they had a Dallas Mavericks kind of team around him and he came up short.
Brad Beal
they had John Wall and they had him, and then I'm not sure if anything really came to fruition out of that combination.
I mean, they were a game away. Russ. They made it a game away from the conference finals one year. They lost to Boston in Game 7, where nobody won on the road in that series. So I think that he's a very good player, but I think that he's the type of dude that just leads you to purgatory. Like, you're probably never going to be bad enough to get like a top 3 pick. And you're probably going to either not make the playoffs or you're going to be a 7 seed, maybe 6 in a good year.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You got to put players. If you put It's been proven. Trae Young is getting Atlanta to the
Ooh,
playoffs.
LeBron fans about to be mad. You know, saying Jokic the first player to lead the whole playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. Ooh. You know, those insecure dudes about to have a field day tomorrow.
Oh, the whole playoffs.
Yeah, the whole playoffs. Yeah, the whole playoffs. You know what I'm saying? You know them dudes going to have a field day tearing down Mr. Nicola.
Oh my goodness. It's gonna be I have one thing to do at work tomorrow. So I think I might engage the smoke. I checked all the paperwork today, so it should be smooth sailing. I get in my building,
But
8:45.
luckily for me, I
I'll get
have a
everything
paper
squared
due.
away.
Luckily for me, I
Uh
have a paper due
I
Wednesday
don't
to
have a paper
occupy my
due
time.
for like 5 weeks, so I got nothing but time.
You know,
I might engage some of this stuff because if like I said, if you just watch what Jokic did this series, I
there's the
mean,
Finals MVP.
in a game where the final score was 94-89, very questionable foul calls on the for Miami towards the end of the fourth quarter. And this guy went 12 for 16, 28 points and 16 rebounds. And it's like, I mean, like you can just see the modesty. You can see like this team. I'm calling it, man. Denver's gonna repeat.
Now
No,
he
I'm,
just now
I'm
I just
kidding.
need him to go get a championship haircut. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
Like they
man.
don't.
He already as soon as the parade ends on Wednesday, he's back to the farm in Serbia, riding his horses on that little wagon. Like I don't know what it's like a chariot kind of thing. And that's what he's gonna do for a summer. Unlike some NBA players that are just gonna trick off a bunch of $1 bills and a gentleman's club, which is
Yeah.
it's just so ridiculous that you like. I've taken 158% from the field, and he was getting fouled every possession.
Yeah. But just to finish up before we move on, because we must move on. Um,
Absolutely.
you you know, like I just you know, don't pay Kuzma, don't pay Porzingis. You know, trade Beal, and go 20-62 next year.
You sound like me when I talk about the Falcons.
Because I
It's
mean,
just
what are you going to
I
do?
got
Like
I got every move laid out, and it's like I can't believe they did that, but it's like I don't work for them.
you know
I'm
what?
just a retired dude with a sports podcast.
Bring Russell Westbrook back. How about that? You know what I'm saying? And
I mean,
you
crazy things have happened
but real quick before we move on, I just got to mention Christian Brown. You know, the high school champion, the
3
college
times,
basketball champion,
1 time.
NBA champion, Christian Brown. You know what I'm saying? The man, all he does is win. You know,
Up there crying, looking like Drake.
all he does is win. Hey, you know what I'm saying? The
I
six is
like
in
it,
the
man.
house. The six
I
is in the
like it.
house.
Yo, I'm really thoroughly. Oh, speaking of 6, what number is LeBron gonna wear next year? He can't wear 6. He's going back to 23.
I guess he has to.
Yeah, he can't wear 6
Maybe he'll wear 25.
or whatever
If I
number
was
Bronny
LeBron,
wants
that's
to.
what I would do. If I was LeBron, I would wear 25.
Just for you, for
No,
two
because
five.
Kobe came out with the 24, like over the 23. So I'll go 25. But he ain't gonna do that because he loves Kobe and
Yeah,
everything. He ain't gonna do that. But that's
yeah,
what I would do.
and they definitely not making that in LA.
I just want
Maybe they'll
LeBron. I
let him
just
wear 20.
literally,
Yo, can you imagine if we made a meme and posted in our sports group and say according to and just make up some website or spell the word athletic wrong.
yeah.
It says Lakers are thinking of unretiring Kobe's 24 for LeBron's last season as a Laker. Oh,
I just want LeBron to grab the mic, like just number 25, like wearing 25, and just say, and if I ain't better than Bean, I'm the
the
closest one.
closest one.
You know what I'm saying? But speaking of Bean, let's talk about things that have been. So, what do we have here? We got some athletes in the past that have come through. We thought they were going to set the world on fire. We thought they were going to reach the top of their sport and all that good stuff. Some of them may even have reached the top of their sport. So, and then it all went awry. It all went away. So who we starting off with?
Oh, he had 13 rebounds. Proud of him. All right, stay focused. I
Missouri's
want,
finest.
yeah, I want to say this real quick. I remember a lot of these athletes we're going to bring up. They're gonna have the most interesting documentaries because I've been a sports fan for so long, and most of us have been. And some of these guys are larger than life. Like I said, I have one friend that's 6'6", and to me, he looks like a giant. Every dude on that stage is like 6'4", 6'5", almost. And they're just a collection of these talented people. And like I said, just when I'm standing with my friend and his brothers, I'm like, these some of the biggest humans I know. My
Yeah.
stepbrother's like 6'5", 300 something pounds. He used to play offensive tackle. Just big people. Um, and we kind of get in our heads to where we think because you're that big, you should be successful at a sport. Or I played baseball growing up. I played football one season. I wasn't very good. If I had your talent, I would do this. I remember I watched a 30 for 30 on Todd. I think it's Todd Marinovich. Todd Maravich.
Marinovich,
The
yeah.
quarter, yeah, the quarterback that went to USC. He was,
Uh-huh. I think he
you
played for
know,
the
and he
Raiders.
played for the Raiders.
Uh-huh.
And when he talked about it, he was like, I didn't want to play football. I just kept playing because I could.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to the point where I realized I literally don't want to do this anymore, I just want to surf and I want to live on the beach and then I want to smoke pot and I want to live my life. That's how I want to do it. So, like from that perspective, after the fact,
Mm-hmm.
you got a different, different viewpoint from him. But that
Ricky
was in a
Williams.
documentary.
Yeah.
Ricky Williams the same way. So you can say, oh, he threw his career away. I don't really have a documentary for the people. I've seen some movies and some other documentaries, but I don't really see like what made you do this. So one old school because I'm an old head. Lillehammer, 1994. Tanya Harding, the figure skate. I mean, I just was thinking about it. I was like, she could have probably gotten a medal. She might not have beaten Nancy Kerrigan out. And in the 90s, if anybody uh, was born in the 90s that's listened to this podcast that didn't know, you couldn't really advertise yourself the way you can now. Like
Mm-hmm.
each one of these guys with these trophies can, they probably have endorsement deals through their social media accounts if they have enough followers so they can make their own moves. Your way out of your proverbial or your advancement in your career in sports was to win something major, Olympics, Olympic race, uh, any kind of Olympic gold medal, Super Bowl championship. You got the Wheaties box. You just got you got the generic champions package, and it changed your life. Well, Tanya Harding, I think she grew up. They had a movie about her where Margot Robbie played her. Um, it could change your life. And she came from humble beginnings. Nancy Kerrigan was a little bit more upper middle class, whereas Tanya Harding was like to get it out of the mud. Well, problem was she was married to a guy who wanted to force that championship Wheaties box opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And him and his silly ass friend attacked Nancy Kerrigan with a billy club and hit her in the knee, which is like, it's like you know what's gonna come back to you. Like who else would hit this woman in the knee while she's on her way to practice? Like if you mugged her on her way home or carjacked her and threw her on the ground and maybe kicked her in the ankle and just took her car, any story could have come out. But being inside the arena, there's only a select few people that are going to be inside the arena, and more likely the
They have
competitor is
that
going to be the
access. Mm-hmm.
have that access and have that, for lack of a better word, passion to cause her harm. So yeah, Jeff Galooly and his friend, they attacked her, and this whole thing came out, and it ruined Tanya Harding's career to the point where she became like a character of this event because that's what
Mm-hmm.
happened in the 90s. Like some of the craziest stuff happened in sports in the 90s. You had OJ, you had his friends, you had steroids were just running rampant, and Mark McGuire went from he was a power hitter in the 80s, and then he just came out looking like a transformer in the 90s, and no one cared. Sammy Sosa came out of nowhere. Barry Bonds, I don't know if he was on the clear or whatever, but all these guys just got huge and just was it was like comical what was going on in sports. Dallas Cowboys were dominating football like it wasn't even fair. And we had these other little stories that kind of pop up. And Tanya Harding in the Olympics was one of those stories that just when I think about somebody throwing away the career, because she could have got a silver medal and still gotten on TV. She might not have been more marketable as far as like your generic publishing companies, advertising companies. Like, oh, we're gonna take the pretty girl from the suburbs and not the short country girl. But I think she would have played well with the middle America. She would have done all the middle America stuff. She would have done those talks. She would have done that talk show net. She might not have got.
She could have been little Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, and that would have been her niche. That would have been the thing. That would have been her claim to fame if she would have gotten silver. Or she could have let Nancy Kerrigan go out there, maybe get the pressure and fall, and now she can win the gold. But they tried to force her hand, and it literally completely derailed her entire career.
Yeah, like maybe she just felt like KD and was just tired of being number 2. Like she just
But the crazy thing is like it wasn't that long, and I get it that back in the 90s you didn't have a large window. Now, like LeBron playing 20 years, some of these guys signing these contracts at 31, 32 for 4 or 5 more years. KD right now, I think people expect him to play 3 more years. It's not unheard of. Isaiah Thomas tore his Achilles, and that was it. It was like there was not enough duct tape to fix it, and that was a wrap. If you tore your knee up in '94, that was it.
Like Dominique's the only person I could think of that came back. I mean, he obviously wasn't Dominique, but I mean, he still had decent numbers, but he wasn't what he was.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson got ACL, MCL, PCL all tore on a hit. Had his surgery on New Year's Day, and almost broke the single season rushing record. And he started game 1 9 months later.
Yeah,
That's MVP. An anomaly. Yeah, 1 MVP, was 9 yards short of breaking the record. Didn't know it. I never forget that part. He didn't know it.
Yeah, didn't know it. Yeah.
Post game interview.
Yeah. So like
that's my first athlete. You got one.
Yeah, since you brought up running backs, I didn't really have an order that I was going to do this, but since you brought up running backs, I guess I'll keep it there. And I came up with a guy that tried to buck the system, but then he couldn't stay out of trouble. Maurice Clarett of Ohio State fame, came in, the infamous 2002 national title game against Miami that still gets Miami fans mad to this day about that pass interference call. I mean, I don't know what you want from the refs. It was defensive holding at least, and it was in the end zone, so it didn't really matter what they called. Like, your defender messed up. Basically, long story short. But that season, Maurice Clarett ran for 1,237 yards, had 16 rushing touchdowns, and that was Ohio State's first national title in 34 years. That season. So from there. The next season, Maurice Clarett got busted for taking some benefits because, this is before NIL. This was before all that. You could get in trouble for somebody buying you a cheeseburger, like since Mr. Logical was talking about all the crazy things happening in the 90s. If somebody bought you a plate of lasagna at Olive Garden, you were probably getting suspended.
You're getting suspended.
Yeah, so he got in trouble.
Going to the bowl game.
Yeah, so he got in trouble, got kicked off the team, and then he was only 2 years removed from high school. The NCAA rule for football is you have to be removed for 3 years. So you don't have to be a junior. You could have redshirted one of those years, but you just have to be 3 years removed. So he was a year short of that. So he tried to go to court, present the case, and it started a national debate to some degree. Like, should high school, because at that time in the NBA, you could go straight from high school to the NBA, without the 1 year of college. But football was different because people were still developing. Their body wasn't fully finished yet. So I think there was a concern health-wise of, do we let these kids go to the NFL? Now, if there was anybody that was ready, I guess Maurice Clarett could have been that guy Adrian Peterson could have been that guy. So we've seen people that could have
Jadeveon
been.
Clowney could have been that
Yeah,
guy.
Jadeveon Clowney.
And
Yeah,
it's and we have to be honest that it also protects the NFL product to have quality college football
yes,
as well.
yes. That and that's the
Because
problem
three
that the
years
NBA.
seems like a tough number, but
Well, that's the
the NBA is trying that with that 1 year thing. But I
right.
get what you mean, and
And,
that's
and
what his argument was.
right, and that's the problem that the NBA is running to now. You got Sensabaugh from Ohio State, Shafino from Indiana, both one and dones this year. Cam Whitmore, who only averaged, slightly over 11 points this season, but they're one and done. So the NBA fan doesn't necessarily have that connection with these players because Sensabaugh went to Ohio State, didn't even make the NCAA tournament. Indiana lost in the second round. Villanova didn't make the tournament. So, they don't have that connection with the casuals, don't have the connection with these individuals. So in the NFL, it's the same concept. You got 3 years to get to know these guys. So when they become NFL eligible and go to the draft, they're a known entity.
And
And
you're going, and we're flying out for the drafts, and we're wearing our
right.
jerseys, we're standing out
All the
next to the
Jet
Rocket
fans, I'm
Statue.
waiting for the Jet fans to boo no matter who they pick. I think the
Absolutely.
Eagles, the big deal was, the Eagles booing Donovan McNabb and everything. So Maurice Claret lost the court case, needless to say. And then the next year, when he was eligible, he was supposed to be a first round draft pick, but he didn't play. He got kicked off the team. He didn't play. So he did awful at the combine. It dropped all the way to the third round and got selected by the Broncos. Never played it down in the NFL. Flamed out in training camp. They didn't even make the team. So then a couple of years after that, he got arrested for aggravated robbery. Did 3 years in jail. And then the next time I heard his name, he was in the UFL playing for the Omaha Nighthawks. So, cautionary tale, Maurice Claret, like taking whatever benefits he was receiving at Ohio State, just sent him on the wrong trajectory once he got kicked off the team.
I'll save like a part of that if I might get off my chest later, so I don't have to be redundant. My guy, my next guy, Mr. Johnny Manziel.
Ooh.
I mean, you talking about lightning in a bottle? This lightning in a bottle. He just always like on the field, spectacular. If if he was 6'5", he probably still would be in the league because I think they would have helped him figure it out. 6'4" at least, 6'2" and a half, 6'3". They would have helped him figure it out. The fact that he was 5'10" and a half, 6 foot, 5'10" and a half, 200 pounds, if that.
He was probably bigger than Bryce Young still, though.
He probably is bigger than Bryce Young, but like when he was partying in Miami and all these other clubs in Texas, and he's the same size as the bottle girls bringing the bottles to the table, is like you're not as big as you're listed. Cleveland obviously just consistently making mistakes. Drake traded back into the first round to get him 22 overall, and he ended up having 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in the NFL. And I remember watching him in college and thinking, like, this dude is not going to work out in the NFL. Like, he never throws the ball on time. I'm not sure, like, if he had a strong arm or if he just was throwing it up to Mike Evans. And I just, and he never seemed to take it seriously. He got the fame. He was hanging out with LeBron.
He beat Alabama.
He beat Alabama. He had spectacular plays against Alabama. And then he just flamed out. He just consistently was always in a position where, like, he just wasn't ready. And he admitted it later. And then he went to Canadian League. He only threw 5 touchdowns, 7 picks there, like 1,900 yards passing. Just consistently getting in his own way. And it was that whole byproduct of, I remember a criminal justice case. There was a teenager from Texas who was under influence, caused an accident where someone died, and his defense was I don't know if the word affluency or just affluent. Basically, he didn't know right from wrong because he grew up with money. That was his defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the judge bought it. I'll pull up the details later. That was Johnny Manziel. He was getting money, dealing with signing all the autographs. Like I said, this is pre NIL deal. Just sitting, just being in certain corners with people, certain nefarious folks, signing all these pictures, 3,000 pictures, so they can get sold, 3,000 trading cards and posters in a hotel room, just signing all this stuff, getting paid 50, $60,000, $100,000, going out in the clubs, partying out in Miami at Club Live before he gets drafted. Just
NIL.
the whole yep. And this was like now, I don't know if that you might still get the same money if you're a top player. Maybe Bryce Young could have sat in the room and signed off 1,000 posters and they could have sold him and could have got a good chunk. But just Johnny Manziel just never seemed like he was ever prepared to be an NFL quarterback. Essentially, be the face of a Fortune 500 company, be the CEO of a
Mm-hmm.
Fortune 500 company, and he just pissed it all away.
Well, hell,
So
It took Mike Vick what 9 years to read a playbook. So
Vic literally said he was like, "Man, I would get the game plan and then I would skim through it, and then I knew that on these certain plays, I would be able to just use my athletic gifts and get out of it." So if the that was his, but it just was that was a player that literally threw because he went to a pretty decent situation. I mean, Cleveland's not great, but he had a great opportunity to win the job. And if he was serious about being a football player and being an NFL professional, I think he would have had a nice little run. He would have had a Chase Daniels kind of run.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he starts for a year or two and they kind of realize, no, maybe you're better as a backup. But he wanted to be in the limelight so bad that he didn't keep the main thing the main thing, as one great athlete says. Make
Yeah.
sure you keep the main thing. And he was a prime example of the limelight eating you alive.
Right.
So Johnny Manziel, that was my
All right.
my second guy.
Quick question before I get my second one here. If I told you to guess, give me a number. What's the highest points Miami scored? Well, besides the game that they won, so all the games that they lost, all 4 games that they lost, what was the highest point total they had?
99.
95. Each game they've scored 95 or less that Denver won. Uh,
Denver is a top like a 6th ranked defense in the league this year.
yeah. All right. So for my second person, we're gonna get a little dark. My
Mm.
second person is the one and only infamous Ray Caruth. Went to Colorado, played
Better
with
not be in this
Cordell Stewart.
motherfucking trunk.
Yeah, played with Cordell Stewart. Slash. Was an All American in college. So he came into the league with a lot of fanfare. People thought he would be a star. I don't know if they thought he would be like, I don't want to overdo it. Like they thought he was going to be Jerry Rice or something, but they had high hopes for him. So he came in, they won the Fiesta Bowl. He was picked 27th by the Panthers. So, so the story starts 545 yards, 4 touchdowns as a rookie. And then by his third season, uh, you know, um, his son's mom, ended up murdered in the back of the trunk, as Mr. Logical alluded to. He ended up serving 18 years in jail, just got out in 2018. So, this is fresh, as far as,
His son survived, but he has mental deficiencies because
yes.
of she was late in her pregnancy
Yeah.
when she was killed.
Yeah. So like I said, he served the 18 years. So, it's just a sad story all the way around. Like beyond the fact that he lost his career, this woman lost her life. And when I was reading about it, trying to get prepared for the show, it brought me back to Brandon Miller. Where he's fortunate. Like I don't know all the legal stuff. That went into him not receiving any
He's
charges.
fortunate they didn't do a real investigation because when they do one, he's going to jail.
Yeah, because to this day, I'm still stuck on whether, like I said, you're the criminal justice person, but
Accessory
I
after the fact.
but I was literally like, I don't know how he. I mean, besides the fact that he was the star basketball player, I don't know how he walked away from this. But after that, I'm surprised that after his showing in the NCAA tournament, they didn't reopen the investigation to come get him because he played so badly.
More information came out. Remember, there
You know,
at the NCAA tournament, like I said, we have all these cautionary tales, Ray Caruth being one. There was another player or
yes,
another out like that was mentioned that he was either in the vehicle or at the scene as well.
right, yeah.
So
So yeah, Ray Caruth, threw it all away. You know, I can't justify anything that he did. Or I don't know what the reason was. I don't know if we ever got the reason that he did it, but I guess it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But it was after his third season, so he had promise, threw it all away.
yeah, it was sad. I believe it was a situation where the child was unwanted. And I think he had expressed desire for her to abort the
Mm-hmm.
child, and I'm not sure if he had another. I don't know if he had another relationship, like a fiance or a wife. And for some reason, he felt like this was the resort he had to take
Right.
to. So yeah, he definitely. And the team, the Panthers, were on the rise. They were doing pretty well early on. So I think he probably had a real opportunity to have a successful career through sport because the team was successful. They were an expansion team, rather new. So he would have been one of like the he would have been the Steve Smith kind of
Mm-hmm.
like Steve Smith can walk into the Carolina Panthers facility right now and be walking with open arms.
They're
He
gonna
probably
they're
still
gonna
has
pop
the
to
code.
attention for that man.
He probably still has the code or access to the building, or he has access to the
I
owner
love
if
Steve
they
Smith.
need.
Remember when they were throwing the football around?
And he's like, they better not hit me while I'm in this suit.
Yeah.
Like, you better
Love Steve
move
Smith.
then.
But yeah, that was my second entry. We probably got time for one more before we hit to get it off my chest and all that.
All right. My last one. I mean, it's another sad story. Like, these are sad stories. I mean, people threw their careers away. Aaron Hernandez,
Ugh.
fourth round pick, New England Patriots,
Whew.
was in Florida. This documentary is coming out. If you
Swamp
haven't seen the
Kings.
documentary on Netflix about Aaron and that case, the documentary on Netflix is not. It was not put together by people who make documentaries well. Like the people who put it together, just I think they were just either just starting out because it didn't have a great flow to it. It had a lot of information. It had a lot of stuff about his confused sexual past, but of course he had already committed suicide, so he had already passed when the documentary came out. So you couldn't corroborate this information. Just some guy saying they had a relationship when they were in high school and they were friends and teammates, whatever the case may be. So you never know what people's agendas are. But what you do know for sure is that he was the prime suspect and he was locked up. He was on appeal. Like he was appealing his charges for the murder of Odin Lloyd, excuse me. But he had potentially another murder and one or two murders in Florida, maybe one in I mean, it's just the violence that he just exhibited off the field. It's amazing that he was able to perform as well as he did on the field with
Mm-hmm.
that in your head. Like I was telling a friend of mine today, like, man, I was going through it for, a couple years. I had some personal things going on. And like I couldn't function at almost at all. Like I couldn't think straight. I couldn't get to the next day. Like I just, it just felt like I just was kind of in this zombie mode, just trying to get from
Groundhog
day to
Day.
day. Yeah. So for this guy to be a Super Bowl caliber tight end, breaking records with Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and we hear about Bill Belichick and him being a stickler for details,
Mm-hmm.
timing, and being here and being prepared and being here on time, and how he would chew Tom Brady out. So I can only imagine that Aaron Hernandez wasn't getting like breaks, so he had to
Mm-hmm.
be there on time, ready to go, in shape, in the training room, ankles taped, just to be able to do that while simultaneously being allegedly so violent that you're just shooting people often, or shooting at people, or always having a gun, or always being in the mood to fight and or shoot people. uh Being down in Florida with Urban Meyer, that was a huge football program. Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, the Pouncey twins. It's just like
Carlos
to
Dunlap, Percy Harvin.
yeah, to be able to perform at such a high level with all of that going on, all you have going on mentally. uh it's just one of those, it's like, how'd you not, and being from Bristol, Connecticut, I didn't realize Connecticut even really had these kind of environments. But every state got a hood at some,
Yeah.
in some form or fashion. I didn't realize it was that, the violence was that rampant. But not being able to disconnect from that when you get all the way down to Florida, but
Mm-hmm.
then you get drafted, you go back up to New England, so you're just kind of in that same area. But yeah, he the crazy thing with his appeal, his contract was allowed to be paid out to
Mm-hmm.
his fiance. I think Odin Lloyd's mom countered and sued. And I think that's probably that might still be going through litigation. But it's unfortunate that a young man, I can't even remember how old he was, like maybe 26. Uh, Career gone, life gone, kid without a father, and then for the father to be this public figure. So it's not like people won't be able, like, oh, you're Aaron Hernandez's
And it was
daughter.
something, and it was something wild too, where like they found the body like a block from his house at a
Down the street from
construction
his crib.
site. Yeah.
Yeah, so he lived in like a big development. They never really said what like I said, the documentary didn't really have all the details, but they just speculated him and this guy were in some kind of relationship, because that was like the theme of the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, he, allegedly shot and killed him down the street from his home, then drove home. Everybody in the neighborhood has security cameras, to include Aaron. He has security cameras in his house. So it just was a bad look, and is a tragedy. Like I said, he's my third athlete that just threw their career away because of off the field stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my last guy, you talk about a love-hate relationship. Growing up in Maryland, back when Maryland was a part of the ACC, every year we had to put up with Duke. Every single year we had to put up with those punk ass dudes slapping the floor, and showboating and not getting called for it. You
Bobby
know,
Early, Christian
you,
Leighton, let's go.
yeah, Christian Leitner stomping on people's chest and then hitting a game winning shot seconds later. You
So
know,
always
uh,
remember.
and I gotta watch that damn clip every year as a Kentucky guy. I gotta watch that clip every year during the tournament, greatest NCAA tournament game ever. But as a Maryland guy, growing up in Maryland and everything, we ran into Duke 2001. Maryland had the 22-point lead against Duke in the tournament, and Duke came back and won. Had a little aid, but we ain't gonna get into all that. Then there was a game at Cole Fieldhouse where Maryland had a 10-point lead on Duke with 50 seconds left, and this guy came through and crushed the buildings, Mr. Jay Williams. But then I loved him because later on, I like him on ESPN. I like his analysis. I think maybe he goes a little too hard for the players at times, but I think he provides a unique perspective that I enjoy listening to. So I ended up loving him. So this was a guy that was ACC tournament MVP, national champion, two-time NCAA player of the year, got drafted by the Chicago Bulls. Came in as a rookie, only averaged 9.5 points, only shot 39.9% from the floor, 32 from three. He was a volume scorer back then. He was a little dude. So, I don't know what his career would have looked like. I think he would have got it. I think he was talented enough to turn it around. He did have a triple-double as a rookie, 26, 14, and 13 against the Nets. So, big things were coming, so I thought. Then he crashed a motorcycle. He was on his way to dinner. So I got to read this one because so he was on his way to dinner on June 19th after his rookie season. Bike got away from him and he slammed into a street pole, a utility pole. He was thrown into the curb grass, face down from the waist up, and his leg was pointing upwards. So some nerve damage came from that, a main nerve injury in his leg, along with a fractured pelvis, tore 3 of the 4 main ligaments in his left knee. So he ended up going through court with the Bulls, violating the contract and all that. They bought him out for $3 million. So, he had that going for him. At least he walked away with the $3 million. And then it was pretty much known at the time that the injury happened. Like a comeback just wasn't in the cards, especially with the nerve damage. It was going to take too long to just try to regenerate the nerve and get it to work as it should. On top of that, it came out a little later that, I guess he took some scissors and was trying to take his own life and was stopped by his mom. So I didn't know that part until I just read that today. So not trying to put his business out there, but just part of the story that I was researching. So like I said, I've grown to love him on ESPN. Him challenging, being the one person that'll challenge Stephen A.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I absolutely love it when he goes to Stephen A.
Yeah.
Or when he walked off a set from Max Kellerman.
Yeah. So hated him at Duke. Grew to appreciate him later. That seems to happen. Like I hate Duke, but then I end up liking Jason Tatum. I end up wanting Zion to do well because he's our role model in some other ways.
Jason Tatum is such a likable guy.
Well, I was
talking about
Zion. Well, I was talking about Zion being the role model. And then so I liked Elton Brand. I ended up loving Trajan Langdon. So I hate them when they're at Duke, but once they got that stench off of them, I seem to.
I like JJ Redick. I always liked him.
Well, I never got on that one. I'm starting to warm up to him finally now.
I wasn't a big fan of Grayson Allen because he would kick you in the leg and be like,
yeah. Well, JJ Redick starting to win me over every time he shuts down Mad Dog. But but up until now, up until the Mad Dog thing, like no, he
none of the Duke guys were on your list.
As Maryland fans, would chant on him, JJ Red Dick, is what he is and what he will always be. But he is good at his job. I will give him the credit. I even like his podcast. So it is what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, we are at that time of show. Obviously the finals took us a little bit over than we wanted to be, but it's all good. We love it. We enjoyed it.
Live action. Every once in a while we try to go live, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now it's time for get it off my chest. So, I got a real quick one, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get it out the way. Originally, I was going to talk about Ja Morant, like looking at the clock during the NBA finals, watching his fate in the hourglass, but I did a 2-5 daily on that yesterday, so I'm going to leave that one alone for now. And I'm going to just simply go with, look, if you think Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA, you have good reason to think that. If you think he's not the best player in the league, you have reason to think that because people like Giannis exist. Joel Embiid is the MVP. Forget the playoffs. He was the regular season MVP. You still got LeBron running around at 38 years old, but still putting up 30 points. So, he still is in that conversation and in that argument, much to my behest. But the point being,
holding it down for the 80s babies.
The point being, I keep hearing these people say things like, if Jokic wins this ring, he's the best player in the league. If Jokic wins this ring, he's a top 20 player of all time. If Jokic wins this ring, he's a top 6 or 7 or 5 center of all time. Look, to take a page from Mr. Logical, stop with the championships. Either he's the best player or he's not. This is a team sport. We saw LeBron James back in Cleveland drag Boobie Gibson and Delonte West, Sasha Pavlovich to the NBA Finals. You know, we saw him drag something called Mo Williams to the Eastern Conference Finals and fell short against Orlando because they had the 6'10" Monstars that could shoot from everywhere. And it was nothing that he could do about it, even though game one, the game that they won, or in that series, I think he averaged like 38, 9, and 9. And they just lost the series because the other team just had the pieces that were needed to beat his team.
Yeah, so 6'8" guys being guarded by 6'1" guys.
Yeah, so like when we're talking about greatest of all time, when we're talking about top 10 players of all time, you bring championships into the argument because everybody's great and you need these things to nitpick to separate the great of the great. But when we're just talking about in a vacuum in 2023, is this the best player in the league? He was either the best player or he wasn't. Damn the championship. Now, if you didn't think he was the best player, maybe this finals went a little bit closer to bringing you back over, bringing you over to that side of the fence. Maybe it didn't because you just hate him anyway, or you just don't like his game. It's not aesthetically pleasing to you. You feel like he's just a number machine. We called him the analytic assassin. So maybe like those things exist and you just say he's a product of the new NBA versus being a person that you could put in every era and he can have an impact. But all that to say, stop it with the championships. Like they exist, they are a thing. But if Luka wins a championship next year, if Luka does not win a championship next year, I can guarantee you he's going to be the same player either way. So he's either top 5 or top 10 or he ain't. Yeah, damn the championship.
This last round, these June rounds of the playoffs don't determine that. And I wish people just would stop having this argument and just have real conversations. I mean, like there's so many things that we can talk about with sports. And for people just to have these generic start, bench, cut conversations. I get it. It's cool. It's good barbershop talk. But it doesn't have to be the sole source of information you pull your debate strategies from.
Did Denver win it or did Miami lose it? Who are we blaming?
Is Jimmy Butler to blame? Did Jimmy Butler run out of gas? Is Joe Mazzulla's fault that we didn't get the finals that we wanted?
Fuck out of here.
Should Darvin Ham and Joe Mazzulla lose their job because we didn't get the Boston LA final we wanted? Like,
yeah. And then wait until August when everybody's calling for Pelinka's job again.
The only reason he shouldn't even had a job.
But that's what I wanted to get off. Yeah,
because he was cool with Kobe.
But that's what I wanted to get off my chest.
Okay, all right. Mine's going to be a little, like I said, I tend to being an 80s baby. We grew up, you learned a lot of information in these face-to-face conversations on the porch with your uncle and your dad, or if you were fortunate enough to meet a grandparent or an older cousin or someone who has some success, someone that has some failures. Being that you had to be together to have these conversations growing up in the 80s, I felt fortunate because we were having these conversations all the time. And I was learning stuff and I was picking up information. Some stuff wasn't great. I remember when I was in the barbershop one night, I was probably about 15. I learned how to get away with cheating. Everybody had their own technique. One guy was like, yeah, man, I come home and I just play with the dog. So my wife sees me play with the dog. And then when I try to go kiss her, she was like, boy, you don't get your dirty hands off me. Then I go in the bathroom and clean up. Other guys like, oh, man, I go to the gas station waste a little gas in my pants. When I come out, I smell like gasoline. She like tell me. So you get a lot of information from a lot of places. Some of it's good, some of it isn't. Some of it stays with you forever. NBA players, we just talked about the cautionary tales of being associated with the wrong group, and there's examples of people who are doing it right. Jamal Murray, you never see him pop up in anything. I think one of his videos got leaked back in the day, but that wasn't like, that was a personal video that got leaked. Somehow it got out. LeBron, I don't think you've ever seen anything with him. Dame Lillard, you haven't seen anything with him. But yet you got a guy like John Morant who's potentially facing a massive suspension to the point where it was a pre-announcement to a suspension. And then you got Zion Williamson. I am not gonna knock someone for their profession. If you're an exotic dancer, or if you're an adult entertainer, if you're a sex worker, like if that's how you want to do your thing, like I'm not here to knock you for that. But what I want guys and people just to realize is like, listen, man, you gotta have your circle tight when you are at this level of celebrity. When you are the face of a franchise, you can't operate the way you want. You can't just say, I'm 21, I'm 22, I want to be 21 or 22. Cool. Then you shouldn't have played basketball. You should have gone to Duke and joined the debate team and then joined the frat, and you could do the whole party at the strip clubs with the porn stars and stuff like that. Because what happens is you get yourself in some of these circles, and some people will use you in that circle. Some people will take pictures of your back. We've seen it happen to James Harden. We've seen it happen to Odell Beckham Jr. I've seen it happen with this. It was like a Congress, like a guy was running for senator in Florida. He got caught up with a male prostitute, took pictures and posted it. Like, people will exploit you if you don't have them sign NDAs. If you're not on that level that you're gonna have people do that, then you gotta watch who you have in your circle. Jason Tatum, he had his son and his mom. I don't even know what his girl looked like because they don't just showcase it. Zion, you're doing too much for a person who's never seemed prepared to play basketball. And believe it or not, you are replaceable. It's 400 dudes in the league. And if you're not playing, those 399 other players can take your spot. Yeah, they might not be able to jump like you and dunk like you, but the New Orleans Pelicans are a multi-billion-dollar organization. They can eat your little $100 million that they owe you and send you on your way because you're not keeping the main thing the main thing. Get smart people in your circle, tighten up your circle, tighten up your behavior, because what you're going through right now, if you don't figure it out, it's going to continue to happen to you. We see it happen to James Harden late in his career. He's still dealing with stuff like that. And he's talking about going back to Houston and getting into that city light and just want to be in the star. Keep the main thing the main thing. You see what's happened with Ja. You see what happened with when he got suspended last year for 8 games. You see what happened with Kyrie. Sometimes you just got to really be like, you know what? No matter what my opinion is, I'm representing an organization with my opinion. We did, between the two of us is over 40 years in Air Force service. They had specific rules, like you can't go to certain political rallies in uniform. You can't do an interview in uniform and discuss Air Force policy, what's going on in the base, what's going on in the government, because when you're wearing that uniform, the presentation is, this is what the Air Force thinks of it. Your name would be over your right, on the right side, U.S. Air Force on the left side. You can have your opinion, but when you're wearing a uniform, no one looks at Wilson, no one looks at Rutley. They look at U.S. Air Force. We did an interview with Air Force Master Sergeant outside of the base, and he said this. They don't even say your name. They say Air Force, whatever your rank is, and he said this. New Orleans Pelicans player in strip club blew $50,000. Memphis Grizzlies player in strip club with handgun, but he's really nice. Get your life in order, because you have a unique opportunity, because you're young and you're having it all happen right now, and you can see it all happening publicly. Everyone sees it. Get you a good lawyer. Get you some good people in your circle. Get people who don't want to be on Instagram Live. Get people who don't want to be in this limelight of this magnitude, because obviously you're not handling it right, and it can impact your career. Because Jordan can cut you, not like you're playing. So tighten up your circle
and wrap it up. You know what I mean? But yo, Sports Reports is ordered. The one and only Mr. Logical.
You're
Scream at your boy 25. Like, review,
hit us
subscribe.
On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
We still over here missing shampoo in his grams too.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna be on one. Because I'm gonna do my work early. My homework is pretty simple. I can knock that out on Wednesday. I got a nice long weekend celebrating Juneteenth. Holla at your boy.
Yeah.
4-day weekend. Shout out. Yes, like that.
Yes, sir. And congratulations once again to the Denver Nuggets. Tomorrow
NBA
night,
World
the
Champion.
Las Vegas Knights will try to do the same thing. Game 5 against the Florida Panthers, 3-1. So we might get 2 championships 2 days in a row.
Hockey Stanley Cup winning celebrations are they're the best, because there's so much equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff flying. It's gloves, sticks, helmets. It's so many. It's chaos. It's one of the best. Like, especially if they win it in overtime, or they win it on like a last second goal, and then you got the other team is still out there. Yo, it's chaos. NBA players, they got the thing, but there's no equipment. The dudes are taking their jerseys off,
right.
shoes and stuff like that. Man, it's all kinds of stuff flying when they win the Stanley Cup. It's gonna be stuff flying everywhere. It's great. It's a great thing to see.
Anything is possible. Yo, we love you, America. See you in a few days. Peace.
Yo.